Hello again. Welcome to another edition of CropLife Retail Week. Paul Schrimpf here with Eric Sfiligoj in our respective undisclosed locations. As you can see, we've done a lot of work on the attic, but it sure looks a lot better than it did last week, doesn't it, Eric?
Oh, Paul. Yeah, the fact that you put in a doorway that leads to the rest of your house is really, really impressive.
It took me a full 2 hours to mill the pocket doors from quarter sawn oak. So respect to me. This is in fact the parlor leading to the living room. This is where my wife gets to sit. This is where she makes her camp while she's working from home. So, but she's actually in the office for 1 day a week. So I thought I'd steal it for now. Plus, it's a little closer to the internet, and we get less wonky. Occasionally, we do get a little wonkiness from our video.
Yes, this is true. We have had run into those problems before, including before we came on the air formally this week. I think the last 2 weeks we've tried to start the video, and 20 minutes later, we finally could start recording once we got through all the technical glitches, freezing, and internet is unstable messages. So,
yes, yeah. So we'll try not to take that as a secret message from the internet that we should be doing something.
The internet hates us, Paul. The internet just hates us.
So pretty eventful week. I mean, I think, when the weather hit, I heard from I have some friends out in Iowa, actually from some high school friends who were sending me pictures of some of the things that were going on. And then you turn to Twitter and see what the real damage that's happening in agriculture to all of the grain bins, and just horrific. I talked to Dave Koppas a bit over at the Heartland. He's in suburban Des Moines. And he said it's every bit as bad as what people are saying. He's fortunately none of his crew. He said he had one minor injury among his crew, but other than that, that's obviously the most important thing. But it's going to be challenging to get bin storage, assuming we have a corn crop. And of course, a lot of corn crop was flattened as well. There's a lot of pictures of corn laying flat on the ground, probably with no hope of getting back up again.
Yeah, Paul, I ran across an item since you mentioned Heartland Co-op that said that they had severe damage, was they were calling it, at 21 of their locations in Iowa. So, I mean, that's a good portion of their business when it comes to the grain terminal. So,
yep, yeah, and the Ag Secretary was touring damage. It's going to be substantial. It's going to take a lot to overcome. So, our best out to those folks. So, I know you've got a couple news items.
Well, yeah, actually, just I guess, as our video was airing last weekend, just after we went to bed with that video, we found out that in the long list of trade shows and events that have been canceled or now gone virtual here in 2020 because of COVID-19, our friends at the Agricultural Retailers Association, which was planning to hold an event in Las Vegas in early December, has decided, because of restrictions in the state of Nevada and fears over COVID, that they're going to be going virtual with that event. So we won't be gathering in Las Vegas in December for the ARA meeting, which is, again, another in a long list of sad tidings, but we'll see how the virtual event comes out. I'm sure more details will be available shortly.
Absolutely. We're all trying to figure that out. We've been trickling announcements out on our own PACE Executive Forum event that we've been planning for the end of October. That is also going virtual, and we'll have more details as we head into the fall here. Actually into the next couple of weeks, you'll see more. But I shouldn't really call it a virtual event per se. It'll be a series of online educational opportunities that we're calling the PACE Executive Series. It'll start around that same time, we believe. Details to come. We will feed you more details as we get them. Just lining the speakers up and making sure that we're able to handle everything virtually. I'm confident that we will. Confident that we'll have some really terrific content. We've really disappointed because we really had some interesting things, some interesting speakers. It would have been great to appear live and interact with directly. But online is going to be the next big thing, the next best thing at this point. So we'll be sending out more details again on what we're calling the PACE Executive Series. So look for that in the weeks ahead.
Yes, and thank you for the segue, Paul. Speaking of virtual, I know one of the events that was a casualty of COVID-19 in terms of canceling in-person event was the Midwest, the Industries Exposition, the MAGIE show that usually takes place this time of year in Bloomington, Illinois. But our friends Gene Payne, Leslie Forrest at the Illinois Fertilizer and Chemical Association have put together a virtual event that started this past week. About 3 or 4 company videos were being posted to Maggie's website per day, and that will continue into the next week. So if you're interested, check out the videos that aired this past week and get ready for more coming up here on Monday, August 17th.
Absolutely, very interesting. And hope, yeah, please do check that out. So we miss those folks in Illinois as well, and miss seeing everybody on the equipment side. So, but this again will be the next best thing you can do to looking at that new equipment. So, a couple of mergers and well, not really mergers, but I guess cooperative agreements we have between GROWMARK and Southern States. Which is interesting. It's in Southern States, the territory is kind of fresh territory to some degree. It's not the large degree for GROWMARK thinking about it. I mean, they had the locations in Northeast, but this gives them a solid presence in the Southeast. Again, they're separate. They have it's more agreements about maybe products and product distribution, but and we'll get more details on that in the time ahead. But just folks working together, trying to figure out economies of scale and best business practices, and congratulations to them.
Yeah, and actually, as I read that release, Paul, it's more of a partnership between the two groups as opposed to I guess, a formal merger, if you will. But we did find out, speaking of mergers, we were putting together, getting ready to do our CropLife 100 survey and send that out to folks. And we found out that in the moment, 2 Indiana cooperatives, Co-Alliance and Harvestland Cooperative, are in talks to formally merge their operations in Indiana. So if that merger takes place, though, Paul, they will be happening sometime in early 2021. So for this year's CropLife 100, those 2 entities will still be listed separately. We'll just probably have a little footnote saying they are planning to get together, similar to what we did last year with Mid-Kansas Cooperative getting together with Midwest Fertilizer in Kansas. So, but now that I've brought it up, I can give a plug out. I did send out the first batch of CropLife 100 forms this past week. So if you've gotten a form, folks, send it in. And FYI, Paul, if you're wondering, the number is 6. As of today, I have already gotten back 6 survey forms, and I still have 2 to send out. There are, believe it or not, 2 companies out there that prefer to get regular mail forms as opposed to email forms sent their way. So I'll be sending those out here in the next day.
Sounds good. Well, that's something we rely on everybody to do. And as we like to say, the CropLife 100 is a report that you contribute to, but it's a report that comes completely back to you. We take all the results in aggregate and we report everything back. And in order for us to be as accurate and on target as possible, and for it to be as much value to the market as it can be, we really do require your participation. If you feel like you are in the top 100 and haven't been reported in that, or if you would like to encourage another company that should be in the top 100 to report those figures, it's really it's still the benchmark. It's still a bellwether for what's happening in the retail market. We really appreciate that, and again, it's something that we do as a service to the industry, and maximum participation gives maximum value. So thanks for those who've helped us in the past, and we hope if you haven't in the past that you'll be willing to do that this year.
Yep. So yeah, the first deadline is September 11th, I believe. So we'll be talking about this, I'm sure, in upcoming videos. And then for those folks that I don't hear back from by September 11th, they'll be getting a second form and a third and a fourth, and finally phone calls pestering you from myself saying, where is my form? Please get me my form. And I'll go like I did last year when I drove past Pearl City Elevator's location, took a picture and said, I know where you live, please get me your form. And I remember last year after I did that on video, I got a nice letter from the folks at Pearl City saying, here's the form, please don't hurt us.
Well, that'd be fun. We should do that. That would be a way to get out of here. You and I put on our masks and just drive around the country and play.
Yeah, that would be nice and friendly now, wouldn't it?
Just shoot out the windows with paintballs, just say, hey, warning.
I don't know if my spelling's good enough to do CropLife in all paintball, but I'll have to practice that in the backyard. Give me a couple of weeks. I'll work on it.
Something to work on. We got plenty of time for that, don't we?
You want it in cursive, though. I think you're out of luck. I don't know if I can manage that.
Oh, gosh. Anyway, one other thing to mention, I had a conversation with someone at Finister Ventures this morning. I was talking to them about AgTech Investing. It's actually very strong. When you look up and what you're seeing is the investment community separating food tech and ag tech, which is basically ag tech, is basically upstream versus downstream, which is good because it's kind of what we've been asking them to do for a long time. It's like separate the two. When you talk about the wild investment in ag tech, could you not put in like food service delivery to consumers? That would be great. So we're really seeing kind of a separation of that, which is nice. But when you look at the food tech side of it, that's really where a lot of the investment's going in 2020. It's actually stronger than the trending is stronger than it was in 2019, and COVID hasn't had any impact on that at all. I asked them, do we really see any lines, digital ag technology pulling technology or pulling, I guess us, in the upstream area, pulling technology or pulling anything that they're doing into what they're doing, and said in the next 2 to 3 years potentially, but there certainly doesn't seem anything really obvious. It's just lots of little initiatives, lots of things going on, but nothing really pulling anything through. And I think the FBN investment that recently came through and the Indigo one as well, we're kind of anomalies. They're the two giants that are really trying to build things from scratch outside of the normal industry structure. And they have their believers and they have large amounts of capital coming in. It'd be interesting to see where that goes, but they're really not the norm. It's like everything else. It's a lot of food tech stuff is moving forward. Although I find something interesting this morning, and I'll make a long video longer. There's something called Power Pollen, and Corteva and BASF are investing in this, and it's basically it's a technology that allows for the collection and re-application of pollen on corn, which apparently makes the corn, it can increase yield in corn. And I'm just saying this, I haven't done any research on this. I'm kind of regurgitating some of the things that they're saying. But if Corteva and BASF are investing in this, and Corteva was more about the seed corn, trying to increase seed, the amount of seed that they're getting out of seed corn planting for use to sell seed. Just interesting technology. There's still some ideas that are out there that are coming back to the production side. So just
that sounds very interesting. I'll have to look into that myself. I hadn't heard of Pollen. If I didn't know better, I think you were referring to like an old wrestling team from the 1970s, but that's okay.
All right. Well, yeah, it was like I thought maybe it was like the pollinator drones or something like that.
Yeah. No, I would have guessed something along those lines too. But that sounds fascinating. So yeah, we'll have to find out more about that.
So there you go. So I think that's it for this week, this edition of CropLife Retail Week. We appreciate you joining us, and we'll see you next week.
If you have questions or comments about today's episode of Retail Week, contact us by email or Twitter, or type your message in the comment section below.
Your feedback is important to us. We'll try our best to address your thoughts in next week's episode.
And be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel.